Let's talk about the most common mistake that quietly destroys attraction before it even has a chance to grow. You've been taught to chase, to prove, to show effort by texting first, texting more, explaining yourself, reassuring her, rereading the conversation like it's a legal document, and pouring your emotions into a glowing screen until she gives you something back. And when she doesn't, you double down. You get louder. You try harder. You become more available, more agreeable, more eager, more consistent. But the hard truth is this: the more you chase, the more she pulls away. Not because women are cruel, not because she's automatically playing games, not because she's sitting there plotting how to make you miserable. It happens for a simpler reason. Chasing broadcasts need, and need is not the same thing as love. Need sounds like pressure. Need feels like a debt. Need turns a connection into a job interview where she's forced to decide whether you deserve a reply. And a woman can feel that weight even if your words seem polite. She can feel the invisible demand behind the message. Answer me so I can relax. Validate me so I can feel okay. That energy is the silent killer, because attraction doesn't grow from pressure. It grows from freedom. It grows when she feels she's choosing you, not managing you. And if you want the deepest truth in one line, it's this: a man becomes magnetic when he stops treating a woman's attention like oxygen. Now listen carefully, because I'm not telling you to be rude. I'm not telling you to ignore her. I'm not telling you to play childish games or act like you don't care. I'm telling you to become something most men never become: stable. And stability is rare. Stability is calm. It's self-respect. It's a life that doesn't collapse when someone takes longer to text back. It's the ability to sit in silence without panicking, without spiraling, without reaching for your phone like it's a life raft. A woman may love attention, sure. Every human enjoys being wanted. But attraction isn't built on attention alone. Attraction is built on the emotional experience you create in her nervous system. And a desperate man creates tension. A grounded man creates safety. That's why this isn't about tactics. This is about who you are under pressure, who you are when you don't get what you want immediately, who you are when you're not being rewarded. Because anyone can act confident when things are going well. The question is, can you hold your frame when they're not? Most men can't. They interpret a slow reply as rejection. They interpret a short message as disrespect. They interpret a woman having a life as a personal attack. And then they react. They lecture. They send paragraphs. They demand clarity. They ask where they stand. They push for a label too soon, a commitment too early. Certainty before trust has been built. And what do they call it? Communication. But often it's not communication. It's anxiety wearing a suit. Let me say it clean. Consistency is not the same thing as commitment. Consistency without depth is just predictability. And predictability, when it has no mystery, no tension, no space, no individuality, kills chemistry. You've seen this happen. Maybe you've lived it. A connection starts strong. The vibe is good. She's responsive. She seems interested. And then the man begins to overinvest too early. He makes her the center. He changes his schedule. He watches his phone. He starts to secure her with constant contact. And slowly, she starts to fade. Shorter replies. Later replies. Less enthusiasm. And the man panics, so he pushes more. And she pulls away more. And the loop continues until it breaks. What broke it wasn't fate. It wasn't that she just wasn't ready. What broke it was the man losing his center. Here's what men don't get told enough. You are not competing against other men only. You are competing against her peace. If being with you feels heavier than being alone, she will choose alone. And she won't always tell you the real reason. She'll say she's busy. She'll say she's overwhelmed. She'll say she's not in the right place. She'll say it's not you. But the emotional truth is, your need made the space feel crowded. So what's the alternative? Detachment. And I know that word scares people because they misunderstand it. Detachment isn't a coldness. Detachment isn't a disappearing. Detachment isn't pretending you don't care. Detachment is control. Detachment is self-ownership. Detachment is being present without being dependent. It's being interested without being enslaved. It's liking her without handing her the steering wheel to your mood. Real detachment is not silence. It's strength. It's the ability to say, internally, I want her, but I don't need her. And that one distinction changes everything. Because the moment a woman senses she is not your source, she can finally relax and see you as a man instead of a project. Let's go deeper. There's a difference between a man who chooses you and a man who clings to you. A man who chooses you says, I have a full life and I want you in it. A man who clings says, I don't have enough inside me, so I need you to fill it. Women don't want to be your medication. They want to be your partner. A partner is not responsible for your self-esteem. A partner is not responsible for your loneliness. A partner is not responsible for your sense of direction. And if you secretly put that responsibility on her, she will feel it. Even if she can't explain it in words, her body will recognize it as pressure. Now let's kill another lie while we're here. The biggest lie in modern dating is that constant contact equals a connection. That doesn't. Constant contact often creates emotional transaction. You text, she texts. You give attention, she gives attention. You reassure, she reassures. And without realizing it, the relationship becomes a deal. I will feel okay if you keep paying me in replies. That's not love. That's an attention economy. And the problem with an attention economy is the same problem with any economy. If you flood the market, your value drops. If you're available 24/7, you're not a man with a mission. You're a man on standby. And no woman wants a man whose life is basically a waiting room. Here's what truly attractive men have in common. They have gravity. Gravity comes from purpose. It comes from routine. It comes from standards. It comes from a life that's moving forward whether anyone is watching or not. That's why the most magnetic men aren't the ones replying in 10 minutes. They're the ones who reply when they're free. Not to punish, not to manipulate, because they're actually doing something. They're working, training, building, studying, creating, leading, spending time with family, handling responsibilities, living. And she can feel that. When you have momentum, you don't need to chase. People feel you coming. Now, I'm going to say something that will hit some of you in the chest. If your whole personality becomes the guy who likes her, you are finished. Because desire needs two complete people, not one complete person and one person begging for completion. This is where a lot of men confuse romance with self-erasure. They think being a good man means making her the priority at all times. But real masculinity isn't unlimited availability. Real masculinity is leadership. And leadership starts with leading yourself. Your time matters. Your focus matters. Your peace matters. Your schedule matters. Your standards matter. When you treat your time like it's worthless, she learns to treat it that way too. When you treat your boundaries like they're negotiable, she learns she can bend you. And when a woman can bend you, she can't fully respect you. And when respect dies, attraction goes with it. So here's the shift: stop trying to be chosen. Start being the kind of man who chooses. That means you stop auditioning, you stop over explaining, you stop sending long messages to clear things up when nothing is actually unclear. You stop chasing closure from someone who hasn't earned the right to hold that much power over your emotions. Instead, you become a man with a calm yes and a calm no. A calm yes sounds like, I'd like to see you. Let's do Friday. A calm no sounds like, tonight doesn't work for me. Another time. No apology tour. No 3 paragraphs. No performing. Just clarity. Now, let's address the part some guys secretly obsess over. What about the silence? Here's the truth about silence. Silence reveals who you are. If silence makes you panic, it's not because she's magical. It's because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your value. You don't trust your ability to walk away. So you cling. You try to control the outcome. You try to control her perception. You try to control the pace, the label, the certainty. And what happens when you try to control a human being? They feel trapped and they run. But when you're a man who can tolerate silence, you become dangerous in the best way. Not dangerous like cruel, dangerous like steady, dangerous like unshakable, because you're no longer moved by every little fluctuation. You don't confuse a late reply with a personal insult. You don't spiral when plans shift. You don't need constant confirmation. And that calm is rare. That calm is what makes a woman curious, because she's used to men who are either over aggressive or over eager. She's used to men who are either emotionally unavailable or emotionally messy. When you show up as neither, when you show up as composed, it stands out. Let me put it in plain language. Needy men make women feel responsible. Grounded men make women feel invited. And invited is a far more powerful feeling than responsible. Now, before you misinterpret this, listen. Detachment is not a mask you wear to get her. Detachment is not a performance. Detachment is the natural result of building a life that you respect. That's why all the texting rules in the world won't save you if your life is empty. Because if your life is empty, you will always reach for her to fill it. You'll always check your phone too much. You'll always overthink. You'll always need more. So the real work isn't learning how long to wait before replying. The real work is becoming the kind of man who doesn't have to fake being busy. He's busy. He's engaged. He has a mission. He has discipline. He has friendships. He has goals that existed before her and will exist after her. And because of that, he doesn't chase. He invites. Now let's talk about something men rarely hear, said honestly. Emotionally available doesn't mean emotionally dependent. Being open doesn't mean bleeding. Being vulnerable doesn't mean dumping your anxiety into her lap and calling it intimacy. A lot of guys think they're being real when they send emotional essays early on. But early on, that's not intimacy. That's a stranger asking for a level of emotional labor they haven't earned. Real emotional strength is being able to feel deeply without becoming chaotic. It's being able to say, I like you, without also implying, so please save me. It's being able to miss her without making her responsible for your loneliness. It's being able to care without losing your frame. And that's what secure looks like. Secure men don't beg for connection, they offer it. Secure men don't threaten, punish, or withdraw to manipulate. They simply remain themselves. They remain steady. They remain consistent in values, not consistent in availability. There's a difference. Values say, I'm respectful, I'm honest, I'm clear, I'm not here to waste time. Availability says, I will respond instantly no matter what, because I'm afraid you'll leave. Values build attraction. Availability without standards destroys it. Now let's talk about mystery, because this is where a lot of guys mess up. Men hear mystery, and they think it means being vague, emotionally distant, or trying to act like a movie character. That's not mystery. That's insecurity, pretending to be cool. Real mystery is simple. It's depth. It's having layers. It's having a life and a mind that can't be fully consumed in a week of texting. Oversharing kills attraction because it collapses the journey. When you tell her everything immediately, there's nothing left to discover. When you explain your every mood, narrate your every thought, and provide constant updates, you turn yourself from a man into a live feed. And nobody respects a man who feels like a broadcast. Curate yourself, not to deceive, to lead, to move with intention, to let your story unfold naturally. You don't need to be secretive. You need to be disciplined. There's a rhythm to connection, a pace, and pace is masculine. Pace says, I'm not rushing because I'm not afraid. Pace says, I enjoy you, but I'm not chasing a result. Pace says, we'll build this properly or we won't build it at all. Now let me address something that will save some of you months of frustration. Not every woman responds to the same style. Some women like clear plans. Some like playful back and forth. Some like frequent communication. Some like space. The point isn't to become a robot who always delays, replies. The point is to stop being reactive. If she's warm, you can be warm. If she's direct, you can be direct. If she's busy, you can be patient. But what you cannot be is desperate. Because desperation isn't more love. It's less self-respect. And women don't fall for men who abandon themselves. They fall for men who can hold themselves. Here's another truth men need to hear. A woman will test you sometimes. Not always consciously, not always maliciously, but she will watch what happens when she doesn't immediately reward you. She will see if you become bitter. She will see if you collapse. She'll see if you start performing. She'll see if you lose your standards just to keep access to her attention. And when you fail those tests, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're not yet in control of yourself. So what do? You pass by staying calm. You pass by staying respectful. You pass by not chasing the moment her energy shifts. You pass by not turning her mood into your emergency. This is what it means to be a man of frame. And frame is everything. Frame is the emotional structure you bring into the interaction. If your frame is please like me, you will be treated like an option. If your frame is I like you and I also like myself, you will be treated with respect. Now I want to get practical because philosophy without application is just entertainment. Here are the rules that actually work, not as games, but as principles. Rule 1. Stop treating your phone like a heartbeat monitor. If you check it compulsively, you are training your mind to be dependent. Every check is a silent confession. I'm waiting. Rule 2. Make plans, not conversations. Endless texting creates a false sense of intimacy. A real man uses communication to move things forward. Let's meet. Let's do Friday. I'll call you after I'm done with work. Rule 3. Respond when you're free, not when you're anxious. If you're replying to soothe your fear, you're already off center. Take a breath. Finish what you're doing. Then answer. Rule 4. Keep your messages clean. No paragraphs. No emotional over-explaining. No, just wanted to check if everything's okay because you didn't reply and I didn't want to bother you, but I also stop. You're not writing a confession. You're communicating. Rule 5, don't negotiate your worth. If she repeatedly flakes, disrespects your time, or keeps you in limbo, you don't argue. You simply step back, quietly, cleanly, with self respect. Rule 6, build your life like she's not coming. This is the real one: the gym, the craft, the work ethic, the friendships, the learning, the hobbies, the goals, the family, the mission, not as a performance, as a foundation. Because if she leaves and your life collapses, you were never in love. You were in need. Now, I'm going to say something that might bother you, but it's important. Some of you don't need dating advice. You need identity. You need a reason to wake up that isn't a notification. You need standards that you live by when nobody's watching. You need to know what you're building and why. Because when your life has meaning, you stop gripping people. You stop trying to extract validation. You stop turning every conversation into a referendum on your value. And that's when you become attractive without trying. Not because you learned a trick, because you became solid. Now let's address the fear behind chasing. The fear is simple. If I don't chase, I'll lose her. And maybe you will. But here's what men must accept if they want real power. If you can't lose her, you can't lead. If you're terrified of losing her, you will abandon your standards. You will tolerate disrespect. You will overinvest. You will shrink yourself to keep her. And even if she stays, she won't respect what she's staying with. A man who cannot walk away is not a man who is chosen. He's a man who is trapped. So your real job is not to keep every woman. Your job is to become a man who can lose the wrong woman quickly and calmly. And that is maturity. Because a man with standards doesn't chase attention. He filters. He watches behavior. He watches effort. He watches consistency of character, not just consistency of texting. And then he chooses. Or he doesn't. That's what self-respect looks like in real time. Now let's clear one more confusion. Detachment doesn't mean you never show emotion. It doesn't mean you never compliment her. It doesn't mean you never show that you care. It means your emotions are not weapons. It means your emotions are not bargaining chips. It means you can say something genuine without needing a specific response to feel okay. A grounded compliment sounds like, "You looked amazing tonight." Then you move on. You don't wait for her to repay it. A grounded truth sounds like, "I enjoy being around you." Then you let it breathe. A grounded boundary sounds like, "I'm not into mixed signals. If you want to see me, let's plan. If not, no stress, no anger, no drama. Just a man stating his reality." That's attractive because it's adult, and adulthood is rare in dating. Now listen, because I'm about to give you the most important distinction in this entire speech. Avoidance is fear. Detachment is strength. Avoidance says, "I'll disappear before you can reject me." Detachment says, "I'm here, but I'm not begging." Avoidance is punishment. Detachment is peace. Avoidance is ego. Detachment is dignity. So if you're using detachment as an excuse to be cold, to ghost, to punish, to keep score, you're not mastering anything. You're just hiding. And women don't chase ghosts. They chase men who feel real, even when they're hard. And to read, real power is not being emotionally unavailable. Real power is being emotionally available without being emotionally fragile. Now let's bring this home. If you've been chasing, here's what you do. Starting now, you stop asking for permission to respect yourself. You stop begging for clarity from people who benefit from confusing you. You stop turning dating into your main source of meaning. You stop building your confidence on a reply. You start building your confidence on your discipline, on what you do when nobody claps, on how you handle silence, on how you handle discomfort, on how you handle rejection without losing your identity. And then something strange happens. When you stop chasing her for validation, you become the kind of man whose presence is felt. Not because you're loud, because you're solid, and solid men are rare. Here's the final truth. You don't attract the right woman by chasing. You attract the right woman by becoming a man she can trust herself around, a man whose life has structure, a man whose emotions are controlled, a man whose attention is valuable because it's not cheap, a man who doesn't need her to be happy but would genuinely enjoy her company. That's not manipulation. That's mastery. Mastery of self. So if you've been waiting for permission to stop chasing, here it is. Stop shrinking your life to fit someone else's attention span. Stop negotiating your worth. Stop proving what you should be living. Respect yourself harder than you ever have. Not with speeches, not with threats, not with games, with actions, with discipline, with a life that doesn't beg. Build that life, and the right women won't just notice. They'll feel it. They'll trust it. They'll want to be part of it. Because you won't be asking them to complete you. You'll be inviting them to join you. And that is the difference between a man who gets ignored and a man who gets remembered.